So, something that my wife and I like to do with stories that we didn't really feel it for, we like to go through and take the different pieces and elements of a story and rewrite it so that it's actually more gripping, more inclusive, so that it doesn't have any loose ends at the end of it. And I thought I would do that for Kingdom Hearts 3. And there are going to be some spoilers for this, so if you don't want to hear about the story, just skip to another video. But while I was writing up the article reviews for last week, I suddenly realized I would write this. I would have started this story at the end, and I'll tell you why. Here's my little rewrite of the main story of Kingdom Hearts 3 so that it will be a game that I would actually enjoy playing. Now, near the end of the game, everybody dies. They lose. Except, inexplicably, Sora, who just goes to a place called the Final World, which is where you do all your tutorial fights, but whatever. It's at the end of existence. Except everybody's not quite dead. They're barely hanging on. Their hearts and their bodies are separated, but they aren't divided into the typical heartless and nobodies. They're just hanging on. And then Sora has to go through the worlds encompassed by shadow to rescue them from a lich heartless that stole their hearts. They make it all back to where they landed at the battlefield, and then they're all ready to go again. Now, this takes about an hour or so of gameplay, but here's the thing about it story-wise. Here's why it was important for the story. Sora finally has a breakdown. He loses heart. He despairs because his friends are all lost. He realizes he has serious attachment issues, and he thinks he can't do anything on his own because he's too weak. He cries, he dies. It's so defining. He finally got plot smacked so hard he bleeds. I hate to say it, but it's so rewarding. And then Riku tells him, "You don't believe that," and then defends him to his own death. Sora has to pull himself back together because he's not dead yet. He calms down. Okay, find my friends' hearts, rescue them. Boy, howdy, full stop. What if we did all that in reverse? So this is how I would tell Kingdom Hearts 3. First part, losing. We start out with everyone minus two major characters that I'll name later at the final battle. We start out high level, powered up. Maybe Sora has a few fewer Keyblades than before. Maybe he has a lot of Keyblades. We go through the basic combat against the Heartless Swarms before we're overwhelmed. Sora has his breakdown. Everyone dies. We start off on a very depressing, sad note, but okay, Sora wakes up in the final world. This is the world from his dreams, where things aren't always dangerous except for when he's sometimes attacked from shadows within and doubts within. He's not under attack at the moment, so it's very peaceful. He's actually outside of time. And his enemies think he's a lost cause, so they're just like, let's get back to killing the universe. He gets himself back together, even though he's lost so much of his power because his soul kind of runs on smiles and the power of friendship. Now, this also gives us as a player, gives me as a player time to practice that flow motion stuff in a not very dynamic environment. He's trying to track down phantoms of himself. It gets tough. He pulls himself back together, only to face the one part of him that overwhelmed him before: his own darkness. It manifests as despair, helpless rage, self-loathing for being so weak, and Sora has to face it down and defeat it, but also take it into himself, because it's a very real part of him. This is the darkness in his own heart. So he defeats it, takes it in. He's wiser now. He had to face down the one person he never thought would be an enemy, himself. And then gameplay-wise, when the chips are down, he's the only person left alive in his party, the shadow comes out and lends him desperate power. I mean, this adds an element of risk to the story, but then that part of him constantly has to be dealt with. Sometimes it's when he's sleeping, sometimes it's the space between worlds. He has to beat it back, but he also has to listen for it. He has to care for it. He has to take care of the only person he can ever really help, himself. Yeah, it's a little bit like the Persona games, Shin Megami Tensei Persona, but the character writing in those games is so great anyways, so perhaps Square Disney-nix could learn a little bit. Part 2. Searching. Now he has to go through the different worlds and find the hearts and bodies of his friends. They've all been scattered. It was just like in Kingdom Hearts 3, the actual game. But now they're scattered through all the worlds. And this Lich Heartless that's trapping their hearts, he's always a step ahead of them. The organization is still doing its thing, trying to find someone or something to take part in their bizarre Ragnarok of galactic destruction and rebirth. Sora beats them out of the worlds, but also has to ask the local denizens of the world for help finding his friends. I know it's kind of mimicking the first story again, but it's even bigger. Because each time he's ready to rescue a world, the big heartless monster that's giving it trouble is the heart of a friend, also deep in that same despair or rage or self-loathing. And he has to talk them down, he has to hold them down, heal them, unlock memories, like bring in the power of waking super early. He has to unlock memories and personality traits that are scared and asleep. That could be the power of waking, is reawaking a heart from a heartless. Now this could also be gameplay-wise a great way to use the triangle reaction commands and go through a lot of dialogue without cutscenes. It's a dialogue between Sora and the hearts that requires, like, the good choices that actually move the battle along are ones that go a little bit against his grain, but also in much the way he's already a good listener. You know, it forces him to be a better listener, better sympathizing, rebuke his own happy-go-lucky paragon spirit, but deepen his friendships. Because now he's seen his friends at their darkest. He knows what they felt. He brings them back up to the light. This could be a great gameplay dynamic that would move the story along, develop the characters, even in the middle of a battle. So he goes through all the worlds. He gets his friends back, but even after he's gotten everybody and gotten them safely to Yen Sid's tower where they can heal, there's one person he has to find. Mickey. The king has fallen into the realm of darkness and the dark shores. Now Sora and Riku are uniquely equipped to go there because they've been in and out before. But they find Mickey in there alive. He's not actually split up between his heart and his body. He has a strong heart, but he also has a purpose for being there. He's trying to find Aqua. Yes, our lost friend from Birth by Sleep is still here, and time in the realm of darkness has taken its toll on her soul. Now Mickey is both trying to plead for her to forgive him and trying to avoid her. She represents a loss and a failure from his past that he does not think he can fix. But Sora, with the power of waking, gets into her heart and awakens the memories from before. He reawakens her spirit. Now she joins in the fight against the darkness overwhelming her own heart, and with the help of her friend Mickey, her fellow fallen to dark Riku, and the unfaltering optimism of a wiser Sora, she overcomes and regains control of herself. And that's a huge thing, is that Sora can still be optimistic. Now that he's faced down the darkness in himself and come to terms with that it's there, he realizes, I don't have to let it win. It's not a consistent matter of I'm either completely happy or this ship isn't going anywhere. He's allowed himself to face difficulties. And that makes his optimism even better because it's stronger, because he says, I know how hard this is. I know how angry you are. I felt that way too. And we can get out of this. I think that's a far better drive for his optimism than we already had in the game. So, Aqua is back. She has control of herself, but wait! Ventus's heart, which was still within Sora at this point, revealed itself, helped them out, helped Aqua. And now we're left with, but where is Ventus's body? And Aqua says she knows where. And that's where we go to a Castle Oblivion and turn it back into whatever the other world was called to get him back together, get his heart back together. And, okay, so that brings us to chapter 3, where we actually get into winning. Everyone has recovered at Yensid's tower. The darkness has been beaten back from the worlds. Sora has locked the doors after him so that darkness cannot get in, but there are lingering heartless and nobodies and unversed that could make for level up item quests before the final assault. Rather in the vein of Kingdom Hearts 2, where there was a wave of darkness unleashed on the worlds, and now we're fighting back against it. So, even with the odds stacked against them, and stronger than before, because all of this darkness is still coming out of the Keyblade Graveyard area home base, Sora's heart is stronger than before. Everybody is stronger than before, and they're so strong, in fact, and Sora, really being the one who went out and rescued the most people, had to keep up his own optimism the most. He and his shadow together, and his ability to understand the sadnesses of others and remain optimistic for their sake, his newfound ability to really never lose hope. This one calls out to the spirits of all the Keyblade wielders in the graveyards that once felt like that. And then, with all of their power, they managed to make their assault on the organization, even reviving and rescuing Terra as they defeat the rest of Organization 13. But they're still playing into Xehanort's hands. He knows that the more of the organization that are destroyed, the closer he comes to forging the Keyblade and resetting the world to eliminate darkness forever. Now it takes the immortal clash of light and darkness at its pinnacle to make this blade, but with its power, he wants to make a world without darkness. So as the final step to create this blade, with 12 versions of himself dead, he destroys Kairi. She is like the bright light that buffs against the darkness that makes the Keyblade. And this sends Sora into a rage. This sends Riku into a rage alongside him. But there's actually a portion of Kairi in their hearts. The connection that they all share. And it calms them. They're like, okay, she's not completely gone. But with her in the mixture of the Keyblade components, they're more closely bonded to the Keyblade than Xehanort is. And the only way that he can fully control the blade now and take control over Kingdom Hearts is to destroy Sora and Riku. And they don't go down without a fight, and a fight they have. Now Sora understands better than Xehanort what the heart is made of. He can say something like, yes, there's sadness in every heart. We hurt when we lose someone close to us. We make mistakes that push friends away, and we lose hope, but that's not all that a heart is. It sees someone hurting, and it wants to dry their tears. That's the first step in making light. And here we can flash back to every time someone cried, another person hugs them, wipes away their tears, and you see just a little sparkle. And here we see that that sparkle was actually the creation of light. And Sora says, the more people we connect with, the more light we make. The more light we make, the more light there is. Darkness doesn't overcome the light, Xehanort. Light overcomes the darkness, but it has to connect to people to do it. It can't make light on its own. And I think that that's a stronger way that we can show that Sora has grown. It's not just that he relies on other people, it's that his reliance on other people and their reliance on him is what makes this unbeatable light. And then when the spirit of Ericus appears, Xehanort remembers the bond they had shared. And there's a little bit of light there. Now he thought that he had torn it apart in order to destroy the darkness from within. Like, I can't forge this Keyblade unless I'm completely engulfed in the darkness. But Ericus reminds them of what they both learned. You could say something like, it's not about whether light or darkness wins. The point is to keep trying. That's why the light pieces always move second. And then we can flash back to the chess-like game they used to play, but they're always smiling. He says we can't stop despair, but we can fight it. And we always do. and Xehanort is like healed a little bit. The two of them finally depart for whatever is after the final world. Kingdom Hearts is dispelled. But Kairi, here we go into part 4, going home. Sora knows he has to go after Kairi. He doesn't know where she is, but if the power of waking can be used to open hearts to find worlds, can it be used to open worlds to find hearts? And that part is in the game. Mickey is sure it can't be done that way, and it's dangerous to try. Sora knows that it's dangerous, but then he says that's why he's going to go it alone. He says, if you just believe in me, if you do that, you'll be my guiding light back, and I'll be just fine. Like that's back to that relying on others and that connection they all feel being a very powerful force. And then, everybody says, yeah, we'll believe in you. Go find Kairi and come back to us. And then with all of the hearts that he healed and all of them being strongly bonded to him, he opens the world's heart, Kingdom Hearts, dives in to search for Kairi. Credits roll. We see everyone playing at the beach at Destiny Islands. Terra, Ventus, and Aqua are there. Roxas, Axel, and Xion are talking with Naminé, who's there with Riku. Riku occasionally beside himself with the pseudo heart from Castle Oblivion that shares his name and appearance but has its own life. Mickey, Donald, and Goofy are there. They all laugh. They worry about Sora, but they still believe in him. And then suddenly Kairi comes out of the door by the tree. And everyone is overjoyed. She's back. And she's so happy to see everyone. Sora found her and brought her back. Where's Sora? And everybody's wondering, where's Sora at? And Kairi looks up at the tree where they all used to sit. And there he is, staring into the sunset and nibbling a Palpu fruit. Roll the credits. Thank you for joining us on our big journey. Big love for all fans of Kingdom Hearts. The end. No post-credits trailer teaser scene. Just done. Square Disney Enix, have your people call my people. If you want an actually good wrap-up to a game series, I will do story directing for you, gladly. But in the meantime, this is Chris Schallert, Idea Engine. Thank you for listening. Go ahead and pop over to Patreon or Ko-Fi. Links are in the description below. Subscribe and support the work I do here, and I will see you next time. Thank you and goodbye.